just because society doesn't have a norm of accepting us, we should still learn how to accept and love ourselves fully. Just because someone else can't love us doesn't mean we can't love ourselves fully.
You are not a teacher. Y'all are not asking no teachers. You sit down about 20, I don't know how many teachers and ask them, hey, what do you think the solution is? And I bet you will get somewhere closer than what they talking about. There needs to be only one way in and one way out from a school. There needs to be, the only reason why this shooting happened is this is them saying that.
People who actually identify as bisexual. You know, but I think it was so important for me to have that middle identity because I was so scared of being so far from normal, I guess you could say, you know.
Yeah.
With being bi, like there was hope for me and hope for, you know, my mom or my family members that I could still have a normal life and that I would not be
tolerated.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be understood.
Yeah.
And that is where the line, I really think, in this whole world is really kind of skewed. Nobody wants to understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody just wants to tolerate. And having tolerance is wonderful, but that is the wrong message to send. I want acceptance and I want understanding. If I can't get that, girl, bye.
To the city, and she's the person sitting in the office in this big chair. The chair is turned away from the door, and
How dramatic! I love it.
And she spins around, and it's Eartha Kitt, right? And she's like, she looks me up and down. She's like, "You'll do." And that was it. I was hired.
Yeah.
And we became the coolest of friends. You know, like just really, she was a lady through and through.
Okay. All this shit's going bad in the world, and you know that. So what's good going on in the world, you know? And then I start to look at that, and it kind of balances me back up. I'm not ignoring the bad things, but I'm looking also at the good things. Because my life, I've been taught over and over and over and over as a balance. When the AIDS thing was happening, I was dancing and having a party time at the bar at night, right? I'd go to the hospital after work and check in with all my friends and the people that I knew that were probably not getting visitors and stuff. And then I would go out and party at the bar and dance like a crazy thing, you know, all night long. It's always about a balance. It's something
the
really
drapes are matching the carpet, and this is not in physical sense. This is literal. The drapes on the windows and the carpet are matching, right? And it feels really good. But it was a process to get there. I feel like everybody's journey is not just linear. You know, sometimes there's a spiral, sometimes there's a zag. You know, and so mine was more like a zigzag. I went through a process.
It's so interesting. I see a lot of the time folks are not having good sex because of the lack of information, because of the lack of like a lot of folks will say, well, I didn't know I could say no to this, or I didn't know that I could tell them that I didn't like it, or whatever the case, right? So a lot of it is around voice, speaking up, and sharing your needs.
No. In a city of 8 million people, I don't know your brother. Like, I just think that like that kind of, or like, oh, you should hang out with my friend because he's gay. A sexuality does not mean you have anything in common with the person. I get microaggressions. I mean, I've been in meetings with executives that have said, wow, you're so professional. Did you think I was going to vogue in the meeting? Did you think I was going to be wearing a tube top? Like, what do you mean? Or I've heard the like, oh, you're so on time. You know, gay guys can be very dramatic or they can be very late. I'm like, what are you like? That's, and I have to defend myself.
Like creating my Bravo account really kind of helped me interact with more gay people. Like, like for example, like I was able to meet Steve, Faces by Bravo, Tom Hamlet from the Dumpster Dive Pod. Like they became almost like a little bit of like my gay guides to like help me understand like what I was
and they're both so great too. I talked to them. They're wonderful.
They're great people. And so it really kind of helped me, I think, come into my own a little bit and accept, because it's more than just like the sexual aspect, right? There's like all these other
there's a lot of pressures being Black and gay, as you may or may not know, about like just families and and pressures and disappointment with families and whatnot. So
my parents sent me to a couple different kinds of conversion therapy. I saw a one-on-one therapist in San Antonio, which is where I lived. His name was Rick Surley. He still practices and advertises that he does conversion therapy on his website. And then my parents also connected at a Love One Out event, which is that was launched, I believe.
Thankfully, the community's been very supportive of it. Everybody's welcome, and my philosophy is that we're creating a lesbian or a queer bar, like whatever bar we go to. So like queer-owned establishments to try to give them business, and our people come out in big numbers and drink a lot and buy a lot, and it's really helping support our local queer bars here. And I love that. I love being able
people who I feel like have had that experience earlier on, that they have had this time to deal with a lot of things with their identity in a society like this, that kind of you are marginalized, you are, kind of the underdog. Whereas me, sometimes I feel like I'm going through those things every day. Like I'm still learning how to frame myself and how to fit myself and how to model my behavior or not within, society and just my personal
I'm really
life
still trying to figure it out myself. I think I've always been somebody who's been told that I do not conform or fit the ideal or societal expectations of what it is to be a woman. As a Black woman, as a dark-skinned Black woman, I think that's something that a lot of us have to kind of reckon with and kind of interpret for ourselves, because in many ways we'll never fit into things like beauty standards, or westernized beauty standards at least. We'll never fit into things like I guess it feels like our womanhood is never good enough, and because I'm kind of like, I've always been quite like a tomboy, like masculine presenting. Sometimes people refer to me as butch.
Achieved your dreams, and at some point it does become a job, but you still have to find the joy in it, So for that day, but we always make jokes of like, hey, it's the Tonys, and then people who've done it before are like, yeah. But it's exciting. There's so many people on our show who've never
went out to the public response portion in the Florida Senate for the bill that was passed and will go into effect July 1st. And I was in that room. 4 people to 1 were speaking out against the bill and talking. They had professionals, medical professionals, mental health professionals. They had kids. They had parents. They had all these people 4 to 1 speaking against this, and it still passed. So after that moment, I think I kind of realized it's not about what's best for the kids. It's about what people think is going to keep them in their political seats.
If you're a thin person, you wouldn't have any hang-ups about your body and that you shouldn't be accepted. But the point of having, the point of being, or like sort of believing in fat acceptance and fat liberation is that the stigma that fat people experience is very different from what a thin person goes through, or someone who is, and that is the distinction. So I moved from body positivity into fat liberation because it made sense.
Readily abandon our roots because, of course, it was forced, it was through violence. But it's like, why not? Why are we so unwilling to go back to our roots or analyze the effects that colonization had upon us? And I'm not saying the continent was like a utopia full of tolerance, but it was completely different before colonization. And some people's unwillingness to accept that is so shocking.
I'm done being used and abused by men. And so I created this persona to basically reverse the roles, because I thought I needed true power. I wanted to have power over the same people that had enforced power over me. And in my book, I realized that the only person I needed to have power over was myself. I didn't need to have
with
power over
all
other
of
people.
those, you know, yes, I'm gay. Yes, I'm a black woman. Yes, I'm plus size, but I know, you know, I can walk down the street and people might not clock me as gay, you know, and I
Yeah.
know there are people out there, especially and specifically black trans women, that literally like are losing their lives.
Right.
So I know that. I know as a black woman, I'm not the darkest black woman there is. And I realize my privilege there and have to make sure I can speak up and be not an ally, but like an adjacent.
So growing up, I felt
in
somewhat
places.
off. Like I liked masculine things, but I also enjoyed Barbie dolls as well. So I would play with my brothers like little toy cars or like the Tonka trucks. Like I just wanted to play with those toys, and my parents would be like, "No, don't play with those things. You have your Barbie dolls." And I did enjoy them. I didn't necessarily hated them. I had like quite a collection. But yeah, no, that was just like something was off. There was no concept. Like I did have a stint when I was like younger. I was like, I want a beard before that even made sense. And my parents were like, well, you're a girl. You're not going to have a beard. You might have like a little mustache, a little hair, but like you're not going to grow a beard. And I was like really sad.
Is really helpful. And I honestly am still learning stuff every single day about my gender, who I am, my sexuality. And yeah, I love talking to people about it because I feel like everyone experiences all of the same terms just differently. Like